Hey everybody, Baldoric here. Today I'm going to be doing a little guide on Rokkr Sieges, specifically on how to maximize your damage. Now, as you can see from my little team here and the games that I get going, I've pretty much consistently hit 160,000 damage every single game using the team that I have here. And I want to kind of discuss how you can build a team to kind of do the same. Now, there are different units you could be using for different Rokkrs, like the different bosses. Because this is an infantry sword unit, a melee, I decided that I could use a team with my Cordelia, using a brave type lance. In this case, her lance has the brave effect on it, to make sure that I get the 4 times attack. Now, why is that important? Now, the way Rokkr Sieges work, the more times you hit, the more hits you do, the more damage you do, the higher the multiplier you get. So the more damage you're doing, the more times you're hitting something, attacking something, right? Your multiplier gets higher and higher. So what you want to do is you want to maximize and get at least 4 attacks a turn. And there are some teams that work well with getting 5 attacks a turn if you have the right build to do that with 3 dancers, a Gale Force unit that can heal themselves somehow. And that could be weapon-based, that could be something else entirely. But let's talk a little bit about what you can do to maximize your damage. Now, this is obviously my first unit. This is a highly invested unit. It does not need to be this invested whatsoever. In fact, I've used a +0 Spring Loki with a not even plus Brave Bow, using an extremely similar build. The difference is she had Breath of Life 3 on her, and I'll explain why Breath of Life works in a little bit. But this exact build, almost to a T. I believe I actually used Darting Blow instead of Death Blow just to guarantee that 4 attacks. But with Cordelia, because I have her so high, I didn't need that. And because of the way her lance works, she gets an additional stat to attack and speed, which helps it even more. So let's talk about why this particular type of build works. Rokkrs don't do a lot of damage on their own. Their regular attacks are very weak. They hardly hurt your units. However, their specials do a lot of damage. In fact, 9 times out of 10, if you have a unit die in a Rokkr Siege, it's either to one of the random units coming in, or it is to a Rokkr's special. So what can you do to prevent this? Well, Guard is a fantastic way to prevent this. Now, obviously, it's more advantageous to have Guard 3, but I want to show you that this works with Guard 2 as well. Guard 3 just makes it happen more consistently, but you can definitely make this work with Guard 2, which is a much more easily obtainable skill. Savage Blow I only have on here because that's her standard C slot, and I actually don't have Breath of Life on this unit, but I wanted to show that you could do it without Breath of Life. But Breath of Life is also very helpful, and I'll show you why once we actually get to the Rokkr itself. Death and Sturdy Blows, just because it's going to give that additional attack and defense. I don't need the additional speed, so I didn't use Swift Sparrow. But the extra defense just helps her take a little bit less damage when she's attacking, which keeps her in that guard threshold, which is very important to stay in. If you leave the guard threshold, that's when you're going to start seeing more damage come out than you'd like, and that could possibly lead to some of your units either dying or you not getting enough score at the end because either Cordelia died because the special went off, or one of your dancers/support units die because the Rokkr does enough damage that one of the other units kills the support unit. Now, let's talk about units you want to have on your Rokkr Sieges team. And I almost always will recommend having a Raisin on your team. Raisin, very easy to obtain. He's just in the regular 3-4 star pool. But the big thing that's great is his weapon. Now, there's a lot going on here, but one of the things that really sticks out, at the start of turn, restores 7 HP to allies within 2 spaces of unit. Okay? He has a self-heal, as long as everyone's close enough, of 7 for every single unit. And if you play it right, your units usually don't take more than 7 damage. Meaning he will just full heal everybody at the start of your turn. And depending on what the Rokkr is, this means that you basically have infinite life and you never have to worry about your guard range. You're always in guard range. He's a dancer. You have different buff skills on him. I have Drive Defense 2, just to ensure that when the unit is close, I'm getting a little bit higher defense stats, so a little bit less damage. Attack Tactic 3 also works just as well. Keep in mind, your units can have any sort of buffing skills that you'd like, and it doesn't really matter. You just have to make sure that you are buffing your unit while also providing support. Now, Wings of Mercy 3 is not necessary. That is just what I have on him normally. Typically, you'd want to have something else, like a... you could be using something like Seal of Defense, Seal of Attack, something like that, to make it so that if the Rokkr does attack these units, they get a little bit weaker, so you do more damage on the next turn, which is a really important thing. That's pretty much your plan, is you want to maximize damage. Now, Olivia is a little bit more like this. So, she's not going to be attacking, so I just gave her Fury 3 simply because it's extra stats. Seal of Defense means if she gets hit by the Rokkr is going to be losing some defensive stats. Hone Attack 3, so that if my main attacker is next to her, she gets that attack stat. Drive Speed to ensure that I am going to be doubling, even though 9 times out of 10 my unit already is. Depending on the Rokkr, sometimes I don't. So Drive Speed does help. And depending on what unit I'm using, Drive Speed is a big help, especially with Spring Loki or something like that, or a lower invested unit, that you might need more speed just to ensure that you're getting that 4 attack instead of the 2 attack with a Brave item. Okay? Lastly, I have my healer. Nothing super special about her. I just have like a standard build. I just use Psychic Plus, Heavenly Light, nothing crazy. Live to Serve 3. It's pretty much stuff that is on her base kit. I made sure to give her Drive Res and Hone Attack. Hone Attack you could change. It's not really necessary since you already have a Hone Attack on Olivia. You could make this, you know, like Defense Tactic, Res Tactic, or a different drive of some sort. Something to that regard. It doesn't totally matter. You do need a little bit of buffing for your unit, but not a whole lot. Now, a big misconception people have is that you want to jump into Advanced, because Advanced gives you more of a multiplier. However, that's not necessary. If you look, total damage dealt, total damage dealt, total damage dealt is all 160. It doesn't matter if you're doing Advanced or not. If you have the right team, you can jump into Intermediate and still cap out at 160,000, which is what I have been doing. So, you want to maximize, you want to use an 8 boost on your axes or whatever they're called. Let's actually find out what they are called. Havoc Axe. Yeah, see, it was an axe. I was right. We go to Intermediate. My boost is 8. We'll hit Fight. I'm going to use one of my axes here to show you how it's done. Now, keep in mind, I'm using my phone. I'm just streaming to my computer. Now, so we have this particular one, and Lucina is the boss. Now, where it would be useful, and I'll show you in a little bit, Breath of Life would be very nice here if my units were going to be taking a lot of sustained damage. They're all going to be next to each other, so every single time I attack with Cordelia, they're going to be getting that Breath of Life health, which means if you're attacking 4 times a turn, you're getting the Breath of Life effect 4 times, which full heals everybody, and I could have another dancer instead of my healer. However, I want to show you why I like using a healer for maps kind of like this. So, what we're going to do, and I'm turning the animations off just to make this go a little bit quicker. So we'll have Cordelia attack. She gets her Gale Force off.
I'm on top of it.
Attacks again.
What now?
We're going to dance with Rayson, and I'm going to make sure to dance behind Cordelia. There's a reason, and I'll show you in a minute.
Orders?
Cordelia is going to attack Lucina again.
Sure.
Olivia is going to dance.
I'm always ready.
Cordelia attacks Lucina.
Together
And now,
we can win.
I am going to put her, or Ethlyn rather, here and heal. Now what's going to happen is she is going to attack Olivia, which means she's getting that defense -7. It's not super necessary, but it does help sometimes, so I do like doing it. Now, this is where things get interesting. So if you noticed, my HP got healed because everyone's next to Rayson, so the HP from Rayson kicks off, and everyone does get healed from that. Now, on this turn,
Orders?
we're going to start off by doing the 2 attacks from Cordelia. That's 1 regular, 1 Gale Force. But we're going to do something a little bit different.
All right.
I'm going to have Olivia come up and dance.
I'm always ready.
I'm going to attack with Cordelia. I'm going to move Ethlyn here and do a heal.
Yes?
Race and dance.
Orders?
And Cordelia attack. The goal, and it doesn't always work out this way because this time I got outsmarted by the AI, but it'll still going to work in our favor, and I'll show you how. But the goal is to have Lucina get trapped attacking Ethlyn and not move. Because if that happens, you're basically making it so that Ethlyn will only attack Lucina, or the Rokkr boss is only going to attack Ethlyn. You don't have to move. You get her cornered in a corner because Guard's going to prevent her from moving with her Rokkr special. And then all you have to do is just keep this up until you hit 160,000 damage every single turn. So,
Together we can
just to
win.
make sure this works, I'm going to have Ethlyn get a kill on the Sword Flyer. Because remember, there's no perfect strategy. AI can happen, things can die. But as long as you play it relatively smart, you shouldn't have any issues.
I'm always ready.
So we're going to have Lucina,
I'm on top of
or rather, Cordelia attack Lucina twice.
What now?
Rayson's going to dance.
I'm always ready.
Attack again.
Okay.
Olivia gets dance. Dances her, and we attack again. And I'm already at that 175,000 damage. Now, if you look, you can see what I'm about to do.
I'm on top.
All I need to do now
I'm always ready.
is the same thing I've been
Orders?
doing. You know, dance, attack,
Let
dance,
us go.
attack, dance, attack.
I'm on top of it.
I'm at
Of
108,000.
course.
I'll have Evelyn do the heal again. And look, the Rokkr is now stuck. So she's
I'm
in that
always
corner.
ready. Orders?
I'm going to do all my
right.
attacks
I'm
again
on top of it.
Yes?
I'm always ready.
at
Together we
144,000.
can win.
We're going to do another heal. Now, if you notice, the boss is getting a little bit close to getting her special off because she's been attacking Ethlyn. To avoid this, whatever unit is getting hit, you want to probably have Guard on. Now, I have done this enough times to know that it really doesn't matter. By the time that this happens,
Orders?
I'm going to hit 160,000
Okay. I'm on top of it.
this turn right
Time
there.
for
Not even the
mayhem.
turn over, right? And if you look, 160,000 damage, really not a whole lot of work I put into that game. The only thing that happened that was slightly different than normal was the AI kind of screwed my movement for one turn, but I made that work, and now we see that I got that 160,000. So, if you don't have one of the Rokkr items, one of the special accessories, and you're looking to get it, you want to capitalize on your score, you want to maximize that, you don't need this exact team, but you do want a team like it. Now, the biggest thing that I would like to mention, and I'm going to pull up my Cordelia again, this is very important. Not so much the Refine, the Brave effect. Now, if you don't know what Brave effects are, let me show you another unit that does have a Brave effect, okay? Let's find, where's she? And I'm sorry, I am using my phone here on a recording, so I am looking down. Where the heck is she? There she is. All right. So, she also has an effect like this with her axe, Church's axe. So, an ability like this that says if unit attacks, or rather, if unit initiates combat, unit attacks twice. That in fact can mean that it can attack 4 times if the speed check is high enough. You need to be at a certain speed past the Rokkr. Now, if you look, I actually have her semi-built a little bit differently. You can see it's a self-sustain with Noontime, Guard, and Breath of Life. She is built specifically to have 3 dancers on her whenever the Rokkr is using a lance, so that I don't use my lance unit into a lance unit. So you typically want to have different units for different Rokkrs, right? So you could have her, you could have another unit with a Brave Sword that can go for any of the Axe Rokkrs, and you might want units with certain effectiveness. If it's an Armor Rokkr, you might want an Armor effective unit. If it's a Dragon Rokkr, a Dragon effective unit, like Legendary Marth, or something like that. So you want to make sure you are building towards what you're facing against, but a general rule of thumb is you want to try to have a Brave weapon, usually to maximize. In a more general sense, you will maximize your damage if you use a Brave weapon. That being said, that about covers it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something today. If you liked it, consider subscribing. I'm going to be putting out more content just like this. Usually I do some unit builds and talking about how to use them in their different modes, but I do plan on putting out more guides like this to show people how I do the different modes in the game, and also some instructions on maybe ways you can build a team to clear it the way that I do, okay? And obviously there's many different ways you can do this. This is just one of them, one of the ways that I do it to get my 160,000. There are others, plenty out there, but if you were watching mine and you tried it and it works, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear that it was successful for you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time.